Welcome in. It is day 38 and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. So today we're going to be jumping into a game that's actually from a company of a game I've already reviewed. And I'm kind of excited about this one because it's going to be interesting to kind of convey that comparison. The game prior was Near and Far. Today we're going to be reviewing Above and Below. Above and Below would be, in my opinion, a tier down from Near and Far, and that's not a bad thing. I think that Above and Below is a little bit more entry level. It's the same concept of a game. You're still using that, individual player board and then a center board. Same concept with those. You're going to be collecting your money, your resources, trying to get your different people for your team. It's a game that allows for solo play or for doing a campaign. It's a cool game. And I want to jump right into this one because I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward 7 categories today. Category 1, art. Art is right with Near and Far. It's the same exact style. Every game these guys put out is always pretty much the same in this art style. It's really nice. I think that the board is great, but the box art here, this sells me the game. I like this art. It pulls me in. I think your individual player boards are nice. I think that your art on your cards or on your pieces, everything's really good. It's a consistent, well-built world. It sells a theme. I love the art. Thumbs up. The components, it's basically cards and cardboard. Yet again, one of those things where I go, all right, does it hold up? Yes, it holds up perfectly fine. Everything is going to be able to hold up for many years. I'm not worried about things easily breaking or tearing. I think that they're nice components. Could you have better? Sure, but it's a thumbs up. The components are perfectly acceptable for this game. The price. This is one of the cheaper ones. It's a little bit older now, and it's not one that has as much as what Near and Far had in it. So it's a little bit easier to go through this game and to really get it to the table. And the price is not that difficult. It's around $45, maybe $50 now. I like the price. I think that it's good. I wouldn't recommend that this necessarily be picked up by everybody because I think that this is a game that if you've already played Near and Far or you've already played Sleeping Gods, you don't want to backtrack to this game. But it's a great entry level to give you a style of those games for somebody who's newer. And if they really like this game, you go, okay, well, let's jump to Near and Far. And then if you really like that game, you go, okay, let's jump to Sleeping Gods. And then you just keep progressing. Every one of their games is a little bit more difficult than the last, but it's also the same style. So thumbs up on the price. And that jumped also right into the difficulty category. Well, what are we talking about with difficulty? Is it hard to pick up the game? I don't think this is that hard to pick up. Am I going to introduce this to my 10-year-old? Maybe not. I don't think it's impossible, but it might be one of those games where you go, this is more for a beginner gamer. So somebody who's been in, who's starting to get into the excitement of games, but is a little bit on the older side, your teenagers, your college kids, or somebody who's brand new into board games around that 10 age, you go, okay, we could try this, but this might be a stage 2 game. Maybe they get to this when they're 12. I think that 10 is kind of where kids are leaving those old, what used to be called board games that I don't really categorize that way anymore. Sorry, Parcheesi, these older games that were just roll and move. And around 10 is where I'm introducing kids to, okay, well, let's try out Azul, or let's try out something a little bit more complex, a real game, because you're thinking, you're not just randomly chancing. And I think that this game's a great one for just after that, because it takes a little bit more concentration, but it's still, difficulty I think is acceptable. So I'll give it a thumbs up there. Replayable. It's not hugely replayable to me. I don't think it's a game that you can't replay, but I think that it's a game that when I sit down for this game, I'm not going to play this multiple times in a day. I don't think this is a game I'm going to pull to the table very often. I'll play it early on, but it does kind of fall out because once you've gotten beyond that and touched that Near and Far game, this one kind of gets forgotten about. So it's a good game to get, but it's got to be thumbs down on the replayability. And then your keys to victory, your routes to victory. How can you win the game? It still gives you options. You still have that ability to go in there and say, hey, am I going to go off more into the map? Am I going to stay more going after the characters? Or am I going to be trying to collect the cards? Am I trying to get the resources? It gives you enough. It's a thumbs up there. I think that's perfectly fine. And then unique. I can't give it unique. When it first came out, maybe. But today, there's too many of these now. It's a level amongst all these games that have come up from this company, but they're all just, level 1, level 2, level 3. It's not unique anymore. I have to give it a thumbs down on the unique. It just doesn't stand out enough to me. And in that category, it's not the one I'm picking. I have Near and Far. I haven't had a chance to play Sleeping Gods yet, but I really want to. And I've heard great things about Now or Never. So this one is just way at the bottom for me. And that's not because I think it's a bad game. It's just because I'm way beyond that difficulty level. So for me, that's the tough thing. To get a thumbs up saying it's not hard to learn is great, except when it comes to is it going to keep your interest? It's hard to sell me on that unique side. So overall, what do I think? I think it's a fun game. I think you should try to play it. And I think if you are a beginner and you're trying to find a game and you haven't played any of this series yet, pick it up. It'll be a great way to get a little bit of a cheaper game from that company. See if you like the style and introduce you a bit. And then you can make the decision if you want to go get one of the bigger, more expensive, harder games. Well, this has been day 37. We've been speaking about Above and Below, and you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and check down in the description below as I'm going to be adding in the Amazon link for this. And yet again, every time somebody picks up a copy through those Amazon links, it's just a little extra money that comes to the channel and helps us to improve everything for you guys. Until then, I'll talk to you tomorrow.